Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, you caught me off guard. Kind of forgot we were recording there. It's a good thing. Good thing we don't record for the first hour. We catch up.
We actually went through everything that we did before we hit the record button. So, but no one heard it.
Because of you, my mum is here. She's supervising the intro to make sure I don't abuse you. Did you go running?
Good.
Today?
I did. I did not
run. There, right? You're safe so far.
I didn't run a Dublin City Marathon at the half marathon. Sorry, because I knew with the calf, if I'd run it, I am not smart enough to just run 21k and not try and race. So I go, oh, I feel okay, and then go for a 5-minute kilometer pace, even though I haven't touched that, and just ruin myself. So I was like, look, mentally I needed to hit 30k today. So dragged a few people with me from the gym, more so they dragged me through it all around Clane. Delighted to get 30k in. Kept roughly 6-minute pace all the way through. So body feels good. I think touch wood, we're back on track, or this time next week I can say, yeah, I went too fast and that's the end of me.
Yeah, well, look at it mentally, I suppose. 30k, just a lot of people. My Strava, my feed, my everything is people doing 35, 30. Big well done to everyone who's doing it. This is the time where the body feels tired. Everything feels tired. You feel tired. Everything is effort. And for some, it's beginning to look like a bit of a taper now for some as well, depending on when you're starting. Usually I'd only be starting my training plan around now, so I don't know what that looks like. But yeah, well done to everyone who's been getting out like yourself doing the long runs. It's great for you because it proves you can carry niggles. You can still have experiences helping you as well. No doubt you mentally, we've been here before. So for those taking on their first long runs and are really feeling the tiredness, that's okay. It's a good sign. It's time to begin to dial down. Well, depending on what your coaches are saying, depending on what your plan is. It's now
still 5 weeks.
But at the end is in sight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The kilometers have crept up, the hours have crept up, and now it's like we're getting there. So just hang on and keep going.
It was a great day here. It looked like a great day in the Phoenix Park for the Dublin City Marathon. The weather today was pretty nice for mid of September. But I don't know about you, but I remember the first couple of times hitting that half marathon spot, and the thought goes through your mind, how am I supposed to do double this?
Yeah, no, well done. And look, and well done to everyone who was running in an AGR t-shirt and hat, scarf and headband. It was good to see the guys who support the podcast, who've been with us on the marathon trips out there running. Absolutely amazing. It's great to see some previous guests of the podcast having a great run. I know Maeve, I think she finished second, Sean, was it? I think
she finished second with a 1:18 time. It was phenomenal. Yeah, Will Boyle did a 1:14 time. He came 13th overall. Munro was out there as well. We had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
I think he was trying the silent run. He had the headphones on anyway, I saw.
Oh, brilliant. Jeez, fair. So, I was talking to people today in my run doing that and just losing the sense in the hearing of stuff, and they're like, what about your balance and stuff? I'm like, yeah, I don't know how he's doing it. So
I haven't got the feedback from him. I'm due to be in touch with him tomorrow. We were out today. We're obviously 3 hours ahead, so I'll get the update tomorrow and find out how it went for him. But yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal, and a reminder that he is running for time and for charity, and he's running the marathon in silence, cutting off his ability to hear, I suppose, and it's phenomenal, and I can't wait to hear how we get on.
Speaking of people that's supporting the podcast, Ger Copeland, his East of Ireland series is on this weekend in Holt. So if you missed out, like myself, missed out on doing a half marathon, I think there's a good few options coming up this Saturday morning in Holt. I'm going to pop down to. I don't know yet what I'm going to do in terms of time or distance or pace or anything like that. I know distance, I'm signed up for the half marathon. So it could be one of those where if you feel like you weren't quite ready for this one, or like Dublin was a very hard one to get into, get a ticket for that. So if you didn't get that, it is 4 weeks out, but at the same time, sometimes mentally you still want to see, where you're at. You're talking to people today that, or whenever this week that did that half marathon. You're like, oh, how close am I to, It's nice when do marathon pace and one of those things we're 3-4 weeks out and it's like, okay, how far am I away from what I want to get out of Dublin?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is the mental game now. The majority of fitness is there for a lot of people. The mental side of it is the part that you need to just be confident with and know that the work is done. And speaking of Jerry, he had a turn for the worst there. He was in hospital this week, and I got a text saying, the wristband in hospital. And I was like, what's going on? And, everyone knows after his incident, there's some recurrences and things that he lives with. And we forget that because we see his personality. He was like, see, just giving me abuse for not running. He's in hospital. He's losing vision in one eye, and he's in a bad shape, and he's abusing me and you. He's saying he still run faster than us. He was raging because he thinks it ruled him out at a half marathon this weekend. That was all he was thinking about. And then he puts on our t-shirts because he's having this competition with me for the scratch map. Tags Beaumont Hospital. I was like, my God, he is relentless. But Jer, we do hope you are feeling better. Yes. We appreciate the abuse. More importantly, the enthusiasm you have for working it out and trying your best and showing up for everyone and encouraging everyone, no matter what kind of day we're having or how we're feeling. We can keep showing up, and it's phenomenal. And well done to you. We wish you a speedy recovery, particularly ahead of the race. And we know a lot of people will be happy to see you there on the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just phenomenal what he could do and continues to do. And yeah, no, he's going to whoop me.
Now, we will say, if you saw what I sent back to him, I'd probably be locked up.
There's a reason. There's a reason I didn't ask that, Eric. There's a reason I didn't ask that. I'm like, I'm not.
I probably threw you under the bus as well. And Gary Reinhardt, if you're listening, you got abused too. No, it was good. And look, it's so good. And on top of that, speaking of useless, right? I've been proven more useless.
Oh,
I got a new watch. Yep, it's official.
New shiny watch.
The Phoenix 5 since 2019, and still works, kind of. Still works. I'll give it credit. It served me well. So much so I almost backed out of buying the Phoenix 8 because I was like, this still works. Why are you spending more money? Why are you doing it? And then, of course, the justification for endurance sports, like, let me get it. I need it. I'll run fast. All the things you need. But I actually didn't. I kept an objective, kind of like, it's an investment. Do I need to make it? As soon as I put it on and set it up, I was like, oh my God. Night and day. Weight alone, like half the weight. My
the screen
GPS
looks phenomenal.
The screen, I'm going to put up a picture during the week of the before and the after. Now, I'm going to give that watch credit. It's been through the ringer and has been absolutely amazing. And which is why I stuck with the Fenix kind of series, or Phoenix, whatever people call it. But it was like, even my first runs and stuff, like the GPS acquired, like as soon as I hit like activity run, GPS ready, I was like, wow. I was like, I usually do that, have a cup of tea and wait for the amber to turn green. And then it's like, right, now it's time to go. And I was just, I know that sounds like a very, very first world problem to have, and it is. But when you're on a run in a forest or Donadee, and then the watch starts saying you're doing an 8-minute kilometer, if it's me, possible. But when you think you're doing a 4:50 or a 4:30 pace, and your watch is saying, it does get to you a little bit. Oh yeah, there's subtle differences, and I'm interested. I have to say, I didn't think I'd be as impressed with the data, the accuracy, for want of a better word.
Have you ran with it yet?
Yeah, I've been on the treadmill a couple of times, and I tested it outside. Obviously, when I was picking it up, I made sure the satellites couldn't fire. I was acquired in it was so quick. I was like, this is a new territory. But yeah, no, it's good. It's a nice upgrade, and hopefully, touch wood, it lasts as long as the other great servant did for me. We got 6 years out of the other one, so let's hope we get another 6 out of it. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It is exciting. So when you buy something new, you feel guilty. It's not just
you want to use it. It probably makes you. I better start running now and get back into the swing of things with this joke on my wrist. Yes. I better do something.
And I wouldn't mind. Like, it's I was following my plan. My mom's over visiting, so I'm kind of laissez-faire for the next week and a half, because it's not really about the runs. It's about spending time and whatever else. So I dragged her to the gym and put her on the bike for 10 minutes and made her do yoga while I ran. But when I was getting on the bike, it was like, today is supposed to be your long run day. You've chosen bike, not in this many words, but this is exactly what was happening. It was like, we recommend 1 hour 30 at this heart rate. I was like, oh. So it was kind of saying, to maintain your endurance goals, you chose bike. This is what you need to do. I was like, wow, that's impressive. But then I did the 10 minutes with my mum on the bike, and then I went onto the treadmill. But because I'd already done some aerobic activity, I went over to the bike and was like, you now only have to do 1 hour or 55 minutes or whatever it was saying at this heart rate. I was like, this is pretty cool. I have to say it was pretty cool.
Deadly.
So yeah, well, that's the update. And I've no doubt people are probably laughing at me going, I've had this technology there for the last 4 years.
Welcome to this.
Yeah, it was a big step up. But again, you'll see from some of the things I write, it's not all about the watch. It's about the people.
Yep.
And it's about getting out and meeting people and enjoying the sport. And I have to say, every time I see a race online, I'm so jealous of everyone getting out, having the coffee afterwards, having the chat, the post-mortem. It's part of it. And it's so good. And you do miss it when you're away from it. It's hard not to be around these events, particularly in Ireland. The running community is just amazing.
Well, before getting to this week's podcast episode, when I was running this morning, I'm a hypocrite in this episode of the podcast, all about nutrition stuff.
You're abusing yourself. You haven't done one thing.
Well, I talk about how I just downed the old gels midway through, and I found myself just sipping Perform gels going through Clane today, and I'm like, halfway through sipping, I'm like, I never do this. I mean, literally the first time having a gel, talking about the podcast, how I always down a gel. There I am, just sipping for a good. Now, it wasn't 7 minutes like you say in this episode, but it was a good 2-3 minutes sipping away until I finished the thing. Maybe because I actually enjoyed it. I don't know.
How was that approach?
Better because I struggled to breathing. I had to just, as I was breathing, I was like, just sip, breathe. I actually found that approach better.
Look,
yeah, I know.
I don't care if my man's listen. I've been telling you to do this for years. I think you just baited me with this because you know I'm going to get in trouble because you've listened. I've been telling you for years. And then after this, do you know what? Oh, man. And now, what a great idea. I had this light bulb moment today while I was out. Sean, I tell you.
I was waiting for a bin to get the dump. I couldn't just down it straight away.
But there's words I want to say, but I don't want to be cancelled.
During the run as well, three was running myself, Roisin, Chris, and Johnny, and he says to me during it, Johnny goes, Sean, you're absolutely wrong. I'm like, oh fuck, what were we talking about the last 20-30 minutes? Like I've been wrong on a lot of things in this run. What was I wrong about now? And he goes, Eric does talk about some absolute banger tunes. Enrique Iglesias has some great ones. And I was like, on that note, Eric, because this, and maybe you got to watch for this particular reason this week, this is your birthday week. Your birthday on Tuesday. Did you buy the watch for your birthday? And do you have a birthday tune for everyone this week?
The birthday watch, I never actually thought of it like that, but you've helped me back justify my...
I got your back. Your better half's like, why did you get this watch? Right. It's my birthday.
No, I also didn't buy it new. I went and met a guy. I drove for an hour to meet a guy for this box he got on a special, or someone bought it as a gift. So
fell off the back of a van?
If it did, it fell onto my wrist and it's staying there. I got a good discount for having it. So let's just clear that one up as well. I went bargain hunting. By the way, there's people selling watches on advert, I think, at home. I just can't access it from here. But I did find someone out here that was selling one. Nice guy. If you're listening, the watch works. I don't need to hunt you down. I did get a song request. So we practiced our live last week just to test out the technology. Did it work? Did it not? And one of our group, Teresa, she got on to the group with a recommendation. And Teresa's lovely, really big fan of the podcast. We appreciate everything. I added it to my playlist. I was doing intervals. This song came on. Teresa, I cursed you. It's not great. I understand. I wish it was as simple as name a song and I add it to the list. It's not that easy. But I'll give her credit. There's a popularity thing going on here.
I think I need your mother to start backing Teresa on this one.
Teresa can hate me, but K-pop Demon Hunters is a show on Netflix, and they have the kids put Takedown. So I put on the song Takedown and it was in there, and it was when I think it was in my fourth interval, and I was struggling, and it came on, and it just, maybe I listened to it at the wrong time. I'm going to give Teresa the benefit of the doubt, but for now, it is not going into my song choice for the week. Not a hope.
Well, the thing with K-pop is, I actually don't know anything about K-pop. I have no idea. I heard there's something on Netflix or some movie or stuff the kids are watching, but I have no idea. So I'm not even going to begin to comment on that one. This week's guest
I feel bad now because...
You should feel bad. That's horrible.
Nice, but like, it's not going in the playlist. I'm building
Enrique went in, and K-pop's the new
No,
thing, though, isn't it? I don't know.
you just said, someone said I talk about bangers of tunes. So clearly I have taste, but this one just didn't make
I
sense.
didn't say they
Teresa,
were
I'm
right.
really sorry. We'll talk about it when we do our next run together. I'm guessing it's getting very popular because of the show and stuff, but it's, so it was added to the list this week and it has now been removed. So we'll have a new one next week. and yeah, we'll see what the birthday tune will be when we come in next week.
On that note, this week's podcast guest all about nutrition, stuff like that. So if you're building towards marathon running stuff in general, there's a lot of different topics when it comes to running, nutrition, everything else. In this one, we definitely took a lot of take-home notes in this one, Kurt, including how to sip gels.
Oh, shut up, Sean. Start the episode and then burst you.
With that said, it's this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. Our next guest on the Any Given Run Day podcast is a registered dietitian, member of the Irish Nutrition and Diet Institute, and founder of NC Nutrition. But she also has first-hand experience in the endurance world, completed multiple half marathons, and a half Ironman, recently coming second in her AG in the Kilkee Hell of the West Triathlon. Niamh Culhane, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Niamh, I have one question. This could be controversial. I said I wouldn't do this to you when I was giving you the brief before the episode, but I'm going straight in.
Yeah.
No, I'm genuinely curious because of everything. Usually I ask people how to get into sport, but this one is, what's the difference between dietitian and nutrition?
Okay. Yeah, I actually get this question quite a lot. So basically, dietitian is a protected title. So to become a dietitian, you need to go to specific universities, do a specific university course with certain modules and amount of placements. And then you get your degree and then you get your accreditation depending on country of qualification. And each kind of different country has a specific accreditation that you need to go through. Unfortunately, with a nutritionist, it's not a protected title. So you could call yourselves a nutritionist and you're not actually breaking the law by that.
Okay.
So someone can read a book and just title themselves a nutritionist. So
just changing my name as we speak to Eric, the nutritionist. Hold on.
And then dietitians can work in healthcare, nutritionists can't. It's very unfair because you can go and do a nutrition degree and spend 4 years in college or university, but technically at the end of it, by law, you have the same title as someone that might do a week online course.
Wow. So it is something to look for. I just changed my name there, Eric. I don't even know if I spelt it right. Eric Nutritionist here for the Instagram. So that's excellent.
That's it.
Niamh, I'm really sorry. I had to start there because we've had people on. We've had excellent people on. We tend to vet the people who've come on. So we're confident that they have done their proper courses. But we see a lot on Instagram. But before we get into that, Sean gave you an outstanding introduction. You're very much involved.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. Sometimes he gets it right, Niamh. Sometimes I give him credit. I have to be nice to him. My mum is getting on to me a little bit more about abusing him. So, Niamh, where did running start? Are you running from something? Are you running to something? We all are. So what is it that...
At the moment, I'm saying I don't have enough bloody trauma to get through my training block for this half, and I wish I had more things to run from.
Oh, don't worry. We've got an hour. We'll figure it out.
I suppose I've always been like fit and active. We'll say growing up. I didn't really do one specific sport as such, but I always did a bit of everything. And in school, I was always the kind of PE focused student, or I kind of went to the gym before any of my peers or friends went to the gym. So I was always kind of dipping out of everything, but never took anything too seriously. And then I moved to Melbourne in 2019. I did my first half marathon there and I hadn't a clue. I remember my longest run I did beforehand was 13k. And I remember thinking it was the longest run ever. And I texted my dad after, like, look what I'm after doing. And I remember even the day of the run, I had a few jellies in the pocket, like, didn't know what a gel was. Even as a dietitian at that stage, did not know what a gel was. And then it kind of just built from there. Every year I kind of picked something to do. I did the Ring of Kerry, that's like 170k charity cycle. I did Tough Mudder, did the half marathon. And then a few years ago, I remember I kind of went for a random run one morning. Like, it wasn't really in a training block or anything. I remember I kind of did 16K, handy enough. And I was kind of like, if I can do this without any training, I wonder what I'm capable of with actually a bit of training. So I signed up then for Sydney Marathon. And that would have been my first kind of training block as such. Now, when I say that, I'd no coach, I'd know nothing. I followed some random online plan. So I did that marathon and said I'd never do one again, as we always say. And then a week later, we signed up for something else. And then I suppose being in Australia, I knew I wasn't going to stay there forever. And there's certain, you kind of see more opportunities over there, or you're a little bit more open to things. And I had a bike. I can't swim. And I was like, just would I sign up to a triathlon? So then I signed up for a triathlon, and that was a sprint. It was terrible, nearly died. And then I signed up for a full standard distance triathlon. And then my visa got extended. And I said, if my visa gets extended, I'll do a half Ironman. Because if I don't do one here, I'll never do one.
Yeah.
So I did a half Ironman last December in Busselton. And now next Sunday, I'm not sure when this goes live, but Sunday the 21st, I'm doing my second half Ironman in Italy. So yeah, I just kind of built gradually from there.
Know a runner who's always chasing the next finish line? Or maybe you are that runner.
Meet the UltraPure Sports Recovery Kit. Everything you need for faster, better recovery after those long runs.
Inside, you'll find the UltraPure Epsom salts gel, arnica cream, wintergreen heat rub, soothing bath salts, and a free gift, all designed with your recovery in mind.
Perfect post-race, post-training, or after a long weekend run. This set is the ultimate treat for hardworking muscles.
Beautifully packaged and ready to gift for your running buddy or you.
Made in County Mayo by an award-winning Irish family business, UltraPure means quality you can feel and trust.
Find the UltraPure Sports Recovery Kit in select pharmacies and health stores nationwide, or shop now at ultrapurelabs.ie.
By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. But for now, it's time to get back to the episode. I'm really curious on your journey into sport and sugar. I know you said you had a couple of jellies in the pocket, because I suppose I don't want to speak for you, but maybe you can add some more context to my question. In your life, you're probably telling people there's not good and there's not bad food. There's food you should have and food you should have in moderation. But you probably spend more time kind of guiding people away from those food in moderation. And now you're looking at yourself on the start line with the Haribo, the jelly babies. And then you're finding out, what is this packet they're all slurping on the start line filled with all these goodies?
Know.
What was it like to go through that, I suppose, awakening, stepping into Aladdin's cave of sugar and endurance races? What was it like for you with your background?
I suppose one thing about dietetics is people always, when they meet a dietitian, they think we're going to tell them all the things they need to cut out. But in reality, we're looking at what they're missing from their diet and what they need to add in. And I suppose through teenage years, a lot of training and going to the gym is very physique focused. And you see that out there, like, you know, it's changing on social media, but you do see out there, like, someone's success is based on their week 1 photo versus their week 12 photo. Whereas they don't think, what other things have they achieved in that time? So with the sugar, I suppose, what drew me to dietetics was diet and healthy eating as such. And I suppose every majority of young women are going through their teenage years do have an association with maybe restriction or cutting things out. But you do get to a stage then where you're like, right, is the priority here to look good, or is the priority here to actually fuel your body? Do I want to lose my period? Do I want to have a stress fracture? Things like that. At the start, you are kind of probably underfueling a bit. And I was definitely guilty of that in my last half Ironman. But you just kind of need to really reframe what your goals are and what is the priority here. Like, why am I putting in all this training if I'm not backing up the fuel to go with it? So yeah, you do have the kind of conflicting thoughts in your head, and you do feel like, God, I'm eating so much here, but you just need to remember like the end goal. And like that, like every food has a function. Like I work in oncology in my clinical setting, and patients there, they're losing weight. So I'm telling them all the things they're used to being told the opposite to. I'm like, swap to the full fat milk, swap to the real butter. Like you need to get in as many calories as possible. So it's really just thinking where you are and what your needs are in that time. And when you're doing these type of endurance events, you don't meet the general population. Like the recommendations that are for the general population, like we're not, like the general population aren't doing events like this. So it's just keeping that in mind and reminding yourself of that.
Niamh, how you just touched on something there in terms of underfueling and stuff like that. And people train for the marathon, they're going to increase their mileage. The long runs are coming up soon in terms of their longest run. How did you know, or how do you advise people when they're training that if they're feeling tired, it's down to underfueling as opposed to, well, the training's getting harder and harder each week, as it must have been for you heading towards that half Ironman?
Yeah. So I would say one thing, like, especially if it's your first training block, I think the more experience you have with running and with marathon and things, you are able to look a bit deeper into every day and look at kind of periodized nutrition and where you can kind of adjust things. But I think if it's your first training block, like you shouldn't need to worrying about how many calories you're having or the number of that scale. You just need to do what's best for you to get you to the start line, because you're doing something amazing. If you find that you're like fatiguing early, or you're just not progressing, or you get to a certain stage in your run and you're having a block, like just having a step back and looking at your day and thinking, okay, what have I eaten today? What were the timings of my meals? Have I had enough carbohydrates? So much in the social media is protein heavy. Protein isn't going to get you through them 42 kilometers. Like it's carbs, and carbs is what you need. And like people get worried about the scales, but if you're eating more carbs, you're going to retain a little bit more water. But you just need to remind yourself, like, it's just for this training block. Like you can get physique back, but when are you going to get this time to fuel your training back? And I found when I was underfueling, what I would do is like maybe underfuel during the day. By that night, I'd be ravenous. Or maybe by the time the weekend came or after a few days, I'd be so hungry, and then I'd be eating crap. And it wouldn't be, whereas if I actually just took them calories and them carbs or whatever I was eating in kind of binging almost, and actually redistributed them throughout the week, I'd be getting way more benefit from it.
Niamh, sometimes, look, we myself and Sean have made every mistake there is possible. We've got 280 episodes, and we will continue to make mistakes for the next 280.
That's great content for people.
Let's talk about a little bit, if you don't mind, your underfueling. You have the knowledge, so probably recognize it a little bit. What were the telltale feelings you were having? Obviously, you've mentioned one, ravenous on the weekends, and we're taking a look. So that's one option for people, and how we can redistribute. For one, when I redistribute, I feel my midweek training is excellent. And by the time I get to the weekend, I'm not as tired when it comes to the long run. And that's one element I have felt by focusing on my meals early in the week to give myself a chance for the long run on the weekend. What were some of the signs that, like, for example, when you took on, maybe it was for the half marathon with the jellies, or maybe it was for the half Ironman where you can really get caught out with fueling? What were your telltale signs?
If we think of the half Ironman day, what I was very guilty of was not taking enough fuel on during training. So I was like using the gels. I was like, yeah, my tummy likes these gels, I'm fine. But I wasn't taking enough volume. So that is number one, is what I would really recommend, is you see on the textbooks and the guidelines X amount of carbs per hour. I wasn't doing that in the training. But then the day of the Ironman, I did it on the bike. I do around 70 grams of carbs, which I'd never done in training. I got off the bike and I ran 10 meters into the transition area, and I started empty reaching and trying to vomit. And that stayed with me for the whole half marathon. So it was awful. It was actually terrible.
You were the one in the races I'd laugh at, Niamh. I'm really sorry to admit it.
Eric's well behind. Don't worry about that.
It's like how ironic that the dietitian isn't fueling herself properly. So, like, a lot of it is mind over matter. Like, you just need to tell yourself, like, you need this fuel. So I suppose, some telltale signs is just tiredness, fatigue, particularly in a woman, like loss of period. I think a lot of the time online now, you're seeing a lot of influencers having stress fractures, things like that. But
And the scary
kind
thing
of,
is, Niamh, they're not telling you about it.
yeah.
Mm.
And
They're hiding the fact of what's their
Mhm.
injuries and what's everything.
That's another thing. And then like that during the week, kind of hitting a wall. Like you're doing your training, you're progressing it as per plan. Your fitness should be improving with it. Your endurance should be improving with it. But there's just something not being able to support it. And then also, I found when I wasn't fueling correctly, my recovery was also impacted. So after my run the next day, I'd still be pain in my legs, or that heavy feeling, or that kind of, you probably know it, the back of your hamstrings all down your legs.
Yeah.
And like, that shouldn't be happening. Like, you're going to feel some sort of soreness, but like, you shouldn't feel that heavy from your day to day. And then another one, which a lot of people will recognize, or a lot of my friends, the irritability and the grumpiness.
Yeah.
Because when we're hungry,
People said you had that before you started running, Niamh. No, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know these people. They just.
Yeah. So I remember one day my housemate goes, I know you're not doing another one after this one, are you? Or my boyfriend recently, I was like, geez, I'm fairly fit now at the moment. Like, maybe I'll just sign up to Full Ironman after this while my fitness is like, Niamh, let's just get this one in first.
Hard enough to endure one.
The irritability is a big one as well, yeah.
And obviously they're all really good signs to look for. And everyone is individual. So when we look at the likes of the people we've been talking about online, and everyone picks up a textbook, information is at click of a button. We have podcasts like this one. We're a really good podcast. But YouTube, AI, everyone, if I put in my height and weight, it'll say you need to take on, Eric, 80 grams of carbs every hour to do this because you're 90 kg and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and people tend to find themselves with still a little bit irritable in some people's opinions, still feeling very fatigued, still feeling everything else, they become victim to that. Nutrition, diet, everything is individual. What's people's steps when maybe we're going too far and we should start with some more basic stuff, but this is just where my head is at now, because it's so individual. Because I know what works for me does not work for Sean. We can't share food on a run. It just doesn't work. And I wouldn't share anyway. I'm greedy, but
yeah. So when I meet someone, or if I have a client or someone booked in, it's really looking at the foundations. I explain it like a house. You're not going to be putting the gorgeous furnishings or the interiors if you don't have the foundations of the house first. And that's simply your day to day. That's not even looking at what you're taking on during your fuel. It's looking at sleep, looking at meal pattern, looking at the different nutrients, looking at your micronutrients. Like, if you're not having meat, if you're vegan, are you supplementing with your vitamins or your minerals, things like that you may need to add in. If you have a certain health condition, are you treating that? So it's really about setting the foundations, sleep, external stress, things like that. Pre and post meals are so important for your running. And then we'll get on to the intra fueling, I call it, or the fueling during your run. And like that, there's so many like textbooks out there, and it's kind of like grams per hour. As the hours increase, your grams per hour increase as well. But a lot of people don't, like, what we kind of forget is these studies are done on athletes, and they're done on majority male endurance athletes. So these athletes, they already have such an ability to break down these carbohydrates and digest them. Whereas, like, if I went out and, like, I'm doing a lot of training at the moment, but if I went out and took 90 grams per hour as per textbook, I'd be like that, how I was last year in Bustleton. I'd be bent over with a stitch. So it's really like, right, that's what the textbook says, but how does this apply to me? And it's just getting started. Like, if I recommend anyone starting, say, fueling their long run, I'm like, just take a jelly. All you want to do is get used to putting something in your mouth, chewing it and swallowing it. We're not actually thinking about what is that even providing to you. It's just to get the system used to it. So yeah, it's really just where you're at, where to start, and how to build.
It's one thing as well, someone said, it's easy to practice taking carbs when I'm sitting here rewatching Game of Thrones and I have a pizza on my lap. But when my heart rate's 165 and I'm 30k into the let's give a realistic from experience, and maybe you can vouch for this as well. We get to around 25k And we know everything's feeling good, but one of the wheels of the wagon is loose. But we keep going. And for me, I know in my personal scenario, that's time to get a big gel in with a bit of caffeine to get me through the next point. Because once I get within 5K of home, I'll make it no matter what, if I crawl or whatever it is. Recognizing those signs is something that came with experience for me. Timing of when you take on nutrition, but more importantly, taking on the nutrition, as you have correctly said, when your body is already focusing on other things. How important is that? And some people might panic when they listen to this because they're in their marathon plan, they've ran a 30K and they haven't even practiced this kind of stuff. So what is the kind of basic considerations people can take now with the information I've just given? And then how can we salvage the next 3 to 4 weeks of marathon training to try and look for the extra percentages so we have comfort in what we're about to achieve?
So I wouldn't stress timing wise. You still have a lot of runs left in your training block for people listening that aren't used to running with gels or with fuel. So what I would actually say first is just pick some jellies or just pick a gel, whatever you are comfortable with trying first. Because like that, the first time you want to try something, it's really just practicing the actual movement of picking up a gel, putting it into your mouth, swallowing it and still being able to run. Because I don't know about you, but like I find if I'm running at a high heart rate, it even takes a little bit of your breath, having a drink of water or gels. So even just practicing that. What I actually say to people is practice it on a short run. Because again, when we're starting, we're not actually focusing on the fueling part. We're focusing on the practicalities of it. And if you find that you've an upset tummy or you get a stitch or something the first time, at least it's not on a long run where you feel like you can't go on. And then one of your more priority runs that week are kind of ruined or you need to stop and go again tomorrow. So do we need a gel for a 5K run? No, we don't need it to fuel it. But it's a great opportunity to just practice. And you might also just take half a gel. And then you kind of just build from there. And everyone is different in terms of their tolerability and how much they're able to take. Yes, again, there are textbook recommendations, but they may not apply to you. And then just test that. And it's okay if you get to a certain stage and you're feeling that cramping or that bloating or that stitch, okay, this week that was my max limit. I'll try that again next week. I might be able to tolerate it. If I'm not, I know then to just reduce that a little bit. And it always goes in kind of grams per hour. I think during a marathon or a half marathon or any endurance events, we kind of forget to fuel in the initial stages, or we're so into the event or we're running for kind of 20 minutes and we think, sure, I'm only 20 minutes in, I don't need to fuel. But what we want to do is we want to prevent that wall or prolong it as much as possible. We want the fuel to keep us going. We don't want to stop and then need the fuel. So yeah, just small steps. Think of practicality. Think of jellies even first if you don't want to try a gel, and build from there.
Just on that, the research says, and this is one thing I think gets lost with all the information that's out there. So people are like, oh, I'm running 4 million kilometers this week because I'm aiming for this one. And then someone else
research
is like,
said that?
Well, listen, if you look at my Strava after I edit it, Sean, them treadmill runs, when the research is looking at per hour, because time is absolute. Time is one thing that's guaranteed to happen. Distance may or may not happen. When people are fueling, a lot of people fuel off distance. Is that a mistake?
Need fuel that keeps up with your pace? Meet Perform's Carb Gel with 30 grams of fast-acting carbs, powered by 3 fuel sources for sustained energy when it matters the most. Packed with cluster dextrin for smooth digestion and a steady release. No spikes, no crashes.
All that in a compact 40 milliliter sachet, tested under Informed Sport, so you know it's clean and competition ready. Whether you're chasing the podium or just in an XPR, Perform Carb Gel gets you there faster, longer, stronger. If you're looking to stock up, you can use the code AGR to get 20% off your order.
By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this Irish podcast. Time to get back to the episode.
I always recommend per hour. Yeah, I recommend per hour because number one, it's what the textbooks say. And number two, it's easier to kind of quantify and give guidelines on, because if you're fueling kind of per kilometer or per distance, it depends on what way you're running. Like if you're doing a tempo run, you're going to be finished it much quicker versus an easy run, we'll say. And if you're doing, just say you're doing a 10K and it's an easy run, so it takes you an hour and you need to have one gel. But then if you're doing that distance, say you need 2 gels. If you're doing that distance much quicker, you're taking the gels kind of quicker and more regularly. And then how you have 2 different plans for each run. So how are you going to bring that into race day versus just thinking every 20 minutes, every 20, 25 minutes, I need to have a gel. So yeah, I would definitely do it per hour.
And what would be your plan? I know I have mine, and look, everyone is individual. When you take on a run now, with a little bit more experience, when you're looking at, say, Sydney Marathon, what was your plan based on time, or what was your plan that day?
So for me, even though I'm quite doing high workload, I suppose, my tummy actually doesn't really like the gels. So
which is a lot of people. So a lot of people are going to resonate with this. Yeah.
So on paper, even though I've done quite a lot of running now and endurance events lately, on paper per hour, I should be hitting 90 grams per hour. And especially in the triathlon world with the heavy workload, 90 grams, I'm still only on about 55 to 60. And that is because if I go more than that, I know my tummy is going to get upset. Does that go against textbook? Yes. Do I know textbook says 90? But again, that reinforces, I suppose, that everyone is a little bit different. And textbook isn't always translatable into like your own self or your own running and your own plan. So that would be kind of a gel. I kind of take a gel every 25 to 30 minutes.
Which is a reasonable one, especially when we look at most packets of gels are coming in. And this is another thing that's confusing. People are picking up gels. I've got 9 of them. How many grams is in a gel? Well, this one's 40, this one's 70, this one has 400, this one has a rocket ship attack. Like there's myself and Sean fell victim to this when we went to Barcelona and we were buying gels we never tried because they said Fanta on them. We were like, have to be good. They have to taste
grams,
good.
that's less to carry
60
with.
grams, less to carry.
Yeah.
When it comes to obviously the timings, you have found a system that works for you, and every 25 minutes to 30 minutes. Well, for me, because people will pick this up and be looking for experience. If I know I need a gel every 25 minutes, I start taking it slowly at the 20 minutes. So by 25, it's in.
It's got wisdom. Yeah.
There's 2 approaches, down the hatch and sippy. I'm a fan of the sippy approach, and I'll nurse a gel for maybe 7 minutes and take a little bit at a time. Is it, again, person dependent, or is there any kind of science to say it's better to get it down the hatch, get it all in at a certain time, or is it just person dependent?
Whatever way you are able to tolerate it and consume it is the best way.
Grax on down the
obviously, like
Sean hasn't done shots in 10 years and he's acting like he's hard. Look at him.
Like, you don't want to be like you're nursing a pint at the end of a night with the gel. Like, you need to.
All right, Niamh, calm down.
A warm can in the corner. So you can be, I suppose, you don't want to be too slow and then be like, God, an hour is gone. I'm just finished my first gel. Crap, I need to take another one straight away. But like, well, it shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes. I'll say that.
Thanks for saving me there. You were about to say 5 and then realised I said thanks, Niamh. I do appreciate that. There is another one, and again, I ask because we are going to have listeners a lot of time who are grabbing information, first-time marathoners, maybe even second-timers who are realising I need to fuel this a little bit better. Caffeine. So when I did a race, Sean witnessed this. It was like the resurrection. Red Bull can, in fact, give you wings. And if they're listening, I want €1 million for saying it. But caffeine saved my Ironman, and I will say that, and a lot of it. At a point where I didn't know I was going to get there, it gave me I know I'm able to take caffeine in races. So that's the first disclaimer. Yes. I've tried it, I've tested it. I got to a point I recognized I am really under pressure, and a quick fix can be caffeine. And in my case, a lot of it between Red Bull was it. Sean seen an end marathon of near despair to cruising up hills based on a couple of cans of Red Bull and a bit of caffeine. What is caffeine? We all know what it does and how it makes us feel, but what is it when it comes to sport, and how should we tiptoe around caffeine when it comes to endurance?
Yeah, no, so I'm a promoter of caffeine. Caffeine is good. It's a stimulant. It's easily
That's three of us
accessible.
getting €1 million off Red Bull now. I'm going to tag them in this.
So it's easily accessible. It's cheap. It's transportable. Again, thinking of the practicalities when you're racing abroad, you can get a coffee somewhere. With caffeine, what I would say is just be mindful of the time of the day you're taking it. In your training, you don't want to be taking it too late in the day that it affects your sleeping or your bedtime. I do think as well, we shouldn't become too reliant on caffeine. And this was myself included. I could not go for a run in the morning without a coffee. Was that a mental thing, or did I actually need the caffeine as a stimulant? Whereas now I kind of pick and choose. If it's an easy run, I'm like, Niamh, you're going meeting a friend, you're going having a chat and you're running while doing so. Do you really need a coffee?
Do you need
after
a
and make it a nice social occasion? Again, things like, I suppose, if we think of caffeine, coffee is their most common form, but it does come in things like your energy drinks, like Red Bull, Monster, or like the pre-workout, things like that. Should you need a can of it every single day before a workout? No. If you feel that you do and you're relying on that, because that's quite a concentrated source of caffeine, I would have a think and be like, why am I needing this every day? Is there actually something else I should be doing? Why am I so tired and fatigued to require this concentrated form of caffeine to get me through this run or this gym session or whatever it is? So I'm for it. It's an enhancement. It's a stimulant, but just have a think, are you actually relying on it to get you through sessions?
As opposed to complementing an endurance session. And when we try and complement endurance, and that's the part where we have physically seen people mess it up in white shorts. It is a diuretic. It can have an impact on the body, which is something people need to remember. And it's important to try it first.
Yeah, absolutely. So
what's a good strategy, Niamh? Or, people are going to, because people make so many mistakes, and we have. But what is a good way to approach this? Again, we've a timeline. People are kind of like, oh, caffeine, I never considered it. What way could they approach this? And again, we have the asterisks of individual. What's a good way to approach a kind of race strategy of introducing caffeine to it, particularly when it comes to a marathon?
Yeah, so I suppose if we're thinking a race day, anything on race day you want to have done in training beforehand. So in terms of coffee or having a coffee in the morning, I would recommend practicing it in your training, having your coffee, but waiting to try go to the toilet first, because that's what it does. It's like it's a kind of a laxative, like it makes you go to the toilet. That in combination with running and high heart rate is a bit of a disaster. So do try kind of wait around and go to the toilet. And you'll actually be surprised how your body becomes trained to it. When I was doing my training block, it's like my body knew up, toast, coffee, toilet, run. It was great. So
Brilliant.
Just try get into that
until when the nerves kick in, you don't go toilet, and then it's all you can think about is you're looking for a Portaloo on race morning.
And then in terms of, I suppose, on the course and caffeine gels and things like that, again, just try everything in training first. Some people are fine with the caffeine gels. Other people, their gut is a bit more sensitive and it's a no. Do you really need a caffeine gel during a marathon? Like, versus, a marathon might be a quarter time-wise versus an Ironman. There's a big difference there. But yeah, just try everything in training first.
And when people are throwing these caffeine gels around to each other as we get to the 25, 30K mark, what is it that caffeine does to us? That's what we all take it. We don't really, I know it gives me a kick because I don't drink much coffee. I don't, and so when I take it, I get a really big kick off the stimulant side of it. But what is it doing to our bodies in endurance races?
So it is that. It is a stimulant. Everyone's how strong of a stimulant it is depends on the person. If you're not used to drinking coffee and you have a coffee, it's going to perk you up more versus someone that drinks, 10 coffees a day, we'll say. And I suppose part of the stimulant as well, if you're taking on a race, it might have a bit of a placebo effect, which is good on a race day.
I'll take it. I'll take anything.
Yeah. So if you think, okay, I'm after having a caffeine gel now, I'm suddenly buzzed, I have loads of energy, just go with it. It's fine.
100%.
That's your advantage as well.
Niamh, when it comes to taking...
It's like when I watch Sean drinking pints and I leave drunk. This water is magic water, but I still love it. It's still amazing.
Niamh, in terms of coffee in the morning, one, how long does it take to kick in? And two, with the longer runs coming up, and people want to get up earlier and earlier to run, they don't want to have food and stuff and fuel beforehand, but they feel like they might need the fuel, or they go fasted. And if they have food, how long does it take before the food kicks in before they go for a run? Do you have any kind of timing guidelines in that, or even types of food or stuff to have?
Yeah, so I suppose in the morning you're a little bit caught because no one wants, we're already getting up early to run before work or get the long run out of the way in the weekend on a Sunday so we can enjoy our day. You are a little bit caught in the morning. When I was doing my marathon training, the minute I'd get up, I'd go down and boil the kettle and eat. You're not going to be hungry. You're not going to want it. You just, again, have to train yourself eating that early in the morning. So in the morning,
haven't seen me with a leftover Chinese at 6 in the morning, Niamh.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Advice for
Chicken
everyone else,
fried
Eric.
rice. Here we go.
So, yeah, in the morning, just as soon as you can. And then the types of food, you want to focus on things that are digested quickly. So, again, it has to be carbohydrates. Carbohydrate is our fuel. And white carbohydrates are digested quicker versus your whole grain. And again, that goes against your normal dietary advice when you're told have brown X, Y, and Z. So something like your white bread with some honey or jam, or your bagel with honey or jam, or a glass of orange juice. Something that is quickly digested and absorbed is what you want. In the morning, like you, as I said, try to give yourself as much time as possible, but even like 20, 30 minutes would be great. Sometimes, look, that is not achievable. Try have an orange juice or a banana or something running out the door. Your tummy, the first time you do it, might be a bit sore, but it will get used to it. Your stomach is a muscle as well, and your gut is a muscle as well. It's just like training. But I would prefer you have a little bit of a sore tummy at the start of the run and let it settle versus going out fasted.
Okay.
And then I suppose if we think later in the day, like if we're running in the evening and we've had our lunch and thinking, do I need a snack beforehand? Your last main meal should be kind of 2.5 to 3 hours beforehand. If it's more than the 3, you want to be having a snack maybe about 60 minutes prior. So that might be something, again, we want a carbohydrate. It might be a bowl of cereal, it might be a bagel, crumpet, hot cross bun, a glass of juice, banana, cereal bar. Again, carbs.
What are the other pitfalls you hear about when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to leading up, I suppose, to the marathon as opposed to the marathon day? Is there like fueling? Would you have more food the day of training and then less the day after when you're not training? Is it different for men and women? Is there different things that pop up here?
I think the whole I'm training today, I need to eat more versus I'm kind of having an off day. If it's your first marathon, I really wouldn't worry about that. You're already trying to manage so much in your mind getting through your training block. If you're a little bit further in your running career, you can do that's what's called periodized nutrition, thinking, right, today I'm doing my strength work and my injury prevention work in the gym. I don't need as high a volume of carbs. I can reduce that a little bit today versus tomorrow. But if it's your first marathon block, like I wouldn't overcomplicate things. You don't want to be thinking of things like that, really. Just focus on pre-workout, post-workout, your meals during the day, and then thinking, do I need to fuel on this run?
Yeah. I want to change topic just a little bit here and jumping on Eric's first question. I'm seeing a lot of this online, and for those who can't see the screen, Eric has actually put Nutritionist there in his lower third there.
Can't sue me, baby. Can't sue me. Chicken fried rice for breakfast. You heard it here first.
I want to be careful how I talk about this because I don't know enough or anything about it, if I'm totally honest with you. But a lot of people online are jumping on PCOS.
What's that?
Well, I'm going to ask the dietitian, what is that? And a lot of people are like,
you said that with
like
such conviction, Sean. I thought you knew, you bluffer.
I don't. I know small bits of. We have a registered dietitian here. She's put that under their name there on what that is. So I'm not even going to attempt on what it is. I'm very.
No,
it's something I've never really heard a lot of before. If I'm totally honest with you. And then there's two really conflicting sides to this on social media right now. On what I'm seeing on like. People are using this excuse for not being able to achieve their weight loss goals, and and then there's a lot of people saying they have it. Is it common? And for example, first thing, what is it?
Yeah, so PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, and what it is, it obviously.
I can't use it as an excuse. Damn it, Niamh. I was hopeful.
That was my second low point. Obviously, it only happens in females. You're out, Eric. It is very hard to diagnose. It's very clinician specific in the diagnostic of it. So one doctor might say you have it, another doctor might say you don't. With a lot of women's health and women's specific diagnosis, studies and science never looked at women. If you look back, it was always men that investigations were done at. So a lot of these things, like endometriosis is another one, they're all relatively new diagnoses. And the treatment and the evidence behind them, I suppose, is quite lacking because of that. Because in medicine and in health, we have to have years of study with quite a large population group to show that, okay, X and Y actually works and these were the outcomes of it. Like if we think of symptoms, will be very painful periods, heavy periods, facial hair or what we call downy hair. That's to do with your testosterone levels. They would be slightly higher in women with PCOS. Another thing that you had mentioned is weight loss or struggling to lose weight. And that's, I suppose, when your simple calories in versus calories out does not work for these women. In terms of like guidelines and kind of the treatment of it, a lot of it is diet, and it's really looking at your carbohydrates. So essentially what happens is you have excess insulin production, and the excess insulin production, insulin is what we have in our body that is produced to break down carbohydrates and use them as energy. In PCOS, you have excess insulin production. So a lot of it gets stored as fat in the body, and we find it hard to break down those fat stores. So you need to just manipulate your diet a little bit to have low GI carbohydrates, which is how quickly a carbohydrate is released into the bloodstream and broken down by the body. So I don't know how much I'm in detail.
No, I have a follow-up as well, because when you talk about manipulating the diet as well, and we're maybe I'm taking you away, Sean, so please bring it back as well. Is this where an element of intermittent fasting can come in? Because am I right in saying insulin and growth hormone are intrinsically linked? So if insulin is up, HGH is down. If you fast, one can come up, one can come down. Because this is another side of the internet we're all seeing in, I want to get 400% growth hormone, just diet for 26 hours. You know, is this something that, again, another fad? Is this what the kind of manipulations, and I want to stay on this topic, so please don't, we'll come back to it, but is this something that, speaking with someone qualified like yourself to help manage, it's not something we just take on ourselves? Is this what we talk about when we manipulate diet patterns, food, timing, intake?
So I don't recommend intermittent fasting for anyone really. It is a bit of a fad. And if you're eating kind of 2 meals a day, how, again, if we think of practicalities, how is that going to fit into your everyday life? How are you going to attend social? celebrations or gatherings, things like that. How is that going to work in your workplace if you can only eat twice a day? Also, if you're only eating twice a day, if they're slightly larger meals or whatever it is, how are you going to get all your nutrition from that? If you're in the gym, we know that the best way to take on protein is by having about 20 to 30 grams 5 times a day, because that's when protein synthesis and muscle growth happens. But if you're only eating twice and having 2 protein spikes in the day, that's going to impact muscle growth. So I don't recommend intermittent fasting for anyone really. In terms of manipulating the diet, it's more about your volume of carbohydrates and your carbohydrate distribution. So when I say low and high GI carbs, low would be your whole grains, anything brown, anything kind of seeded, and that's released really, really slowly. Me and you and all of us here, we want high GI carbs because we want the juices. If you say so, Eric, if you say so. Yeah. We want the honey, the juice. We want things released quickly because we want them for our running.
That's why.
Yeah. But there's other things you can do as well. Like you really want to just slow the release of carbs. So other things that you can do is like pairing it. So if you pair it with protein and a fat in your diet, that will slow the increase. So it's just about having balanced meals. It's nothing too complex or wild or wacky. It's very simple things, but simple things that can go missed, I suppose. It's no like fad diets or anything like that. It's very achievable. You just need to focus in on it a little bit more, I suppose.
This PCOS, how common is it now amongst women, and what age groups and what are telltale signs?
Yeah, it's in terms of, I don't know the exact percentage or stats or anything like that.
And not to put you on the spot, obviously this came up in conversation and we'll take the best info you have.
It is definitely increasing, and I suppose because people recognise more what it is and they think, I actually have a few of them things. I find it hard to lose weight, or my periods are very heavy, or I actually have a little bit of downy hair on my face, but I didn't know what that was. So I suppose the increase is more linked. Potentially women have always had it. The increase of the diagnostic of it is because it's more recognised now as well.
The best thing is probably, where do women find a good source? And I say good source for information about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Sean mentioned there, I'm a member of the INDI, the Irish Nutrition and Dietetic Institute. So that's a really good website, and it has different kind of diet sheets and guidelines, and it can direct you to other, I suppose, platforms as well. And they send out kind of magazines and news articles as well sometimes. So it's called the INDI. I would have a look on there. And then they also have a list of registered dietitians there. So depending on like your area, or if you want to see someone face to face versus online, there's depending where you are in the country, there is a list of dietitians there if you do want to seek kind of more help from it.
Will they take a screenshot of Eric/nutritionist as a CV upload? If you see my picture on this website, get off it. You're in the wrong place.
Oh.
Niamh, you had a series on your Instagram about, and there's some things I had no idea, I hadn't heard about before. It was like a Vega test. One I took offense to was a hair follicle test. I thought that would not work on me. And basically the whole thing was, these are just, they don't find out stuff on you. And like there's different food intolerances tests and stuff I've heard as well. Is it the only way to know a blood test, or is there other ways like that you'd for finding maybe it is PCOS and insulin levels? Or for guys, that the thing now is, oh well, I feel a bit tired today, oh my testosterone's definitely down, I need a test boost and that kind of thing to come on. Cortisol, exactly. I'm over 35. That's it. My hair's gone. I definitely need tests and stuff in me now when they're just looking to whatever. Is blood work the only answer to this? Is there another answer to this? What do you recommend?
Depending on your age. So when you're a child and you get allergy testing, it's kind of called like skin prick. So what they'll do is they'll put like certain foods, I suppose, along like your forearm and see, do you have a reaction? That is one way. Blood tests are another. And then with intolerances, So an intolerance isn't an allergy. It's kind of, okay, I eat, just say if you're lactose, I can have a glass of milk, and I can have a scoop of ice cream. But if I have the full tub of Ben and Jerry's, then I know about it. So
Yeah,
it's
okay,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like...
You have a row. It's not necessarily you're going to die. You just have a row.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's like, with intolerances and things, you can have a certain amount, but it's finding your limit, and only you will know that. You can't do a test to know that. But things like your hair follicle testing, or the Vega one is where you go in and hold a bar. Like, that's a load of shite.
Anyone who was looking to sponsor us on that is gone now, Niamh. There goes another €1,000,000.
Yeah, I just feel like so bad for people because the people that go to these people, they obviously are in desperation because they feel something is wrong, and they're trying to seek help about it, and they're spending how much money on it. But like, it's not accurate, and it's not true, and it's actually delaying them from potentially identifying what is actually wrong. And I just don't get how people who are running these companies are okay with it either. Like, ethically, I'm like, you're literally taking advantage of people who are trying to seek help and better themselves, and just taking their money. It must just be a money business.
And if any of these companies have big legal teams, Niamh's words are her own. They are not a representation of the Any Given Runday podcast.
And
her address is...
If something seems too wacky or too good to be true, like, just take a minute to have a think about it. You know, like a bar that you hold, or like you're like, just take a minute to think. Right, how is this actually working?
I barely trust a heart rate monitor on a treadmill. Never mind if something was going to tell me who my ancestors were by holding a bar. You know, like it's I suppose. But look, marketing is what it is, and we have all the information in the world, so we don't know how to access it and understand what's real or what's not, and that's where episodes like this with you are vitally important. Even if they do sue us after them, it's quite all right. We'll take our chances, me and Sean.
Yeah.
Will we? Niamh. Sean, I'm actually worried for Sean's feed, because mine is all cats, dogs, airplanes, and God knows what else. Sean's gone down a rabbit hole on his Instagram feed, so I don't know what's happening. Niamh, a lot of other things, Sean has found a couple that have come onto his radar about what people are saying, what people are doing, and trends that are doing. Are there any things you see in your profession online that you're like, nah, this one, I can't believe people are still doing this. I can't believe it's not butter. I don't know what it is, but is there anything you see online that you're just like, please stop talking about this?
There's a list. There's honestly a list, and it really frustrates me when it's kind of people that have a lot of followers, or when people look up to them. There's a girl based in the UK, and I think she's amazing. She has such a good business and such a good work ethic. And she put up the last day, starting my day with some apple cider vinegar. And I was like, really? Are we still...
I've heard a lot about this.
Things like that. And I don't know, did you watch did you ever see that apple cider vinegar documentary about the Australian influencer? And she claimed to cure cancer by doing X, Y, and Z. Through diet and apple cider vinegar and these cleanses and things like that. And I'm just
what is the myth on apple cider vinegar?
Huh?
I usually stop at the apple cider part. What's the myth about the vinegar? You know, what is the magical
gummies and
gift?
stuff now? Like, so obviously there's some marketing or something to it.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, it's meant to increase your metabolism. All it's going to do is burn your throat and ruin your teeth. Like, do you know, like, really all it's going to do.
That's why you should just leave it as apple cider and do the same thing.
And like, again, the sad thing is, I was victim to that when I was like 16. Like, Mom, you need to get me this. You need to go to health shop and get me this. 16, sure, I didn't have an ounce of fat. What was I trying to burn? And it's just, I suppose it's just sad online that people are always like, there's always a new thing, or they're always striving. And like, people love to complicate nutrition. Like, nutrition does not need to be that complicated. And they're always focusing on that extra 1%, or like, they think that the most restrictive diet or the most complicated diet or expensive supplement must be the best. But like, just look at the food pyramid. Like, it's been around for years. It has had some alterations, but it's just so basic. Just go through your nutrients, your carbs, your protein, your fat, your dairy, your fruit and veg. Your snacks are at the top, your chocolate, things like that.
Hey,
But
hey.
like people just bypass the basics and they think all these little 1% are the end all be all, and like they're not. So like the apple cider vinegar, keto, the newest thing is the carnivore diet. Oh my God, when
Oh,
people are
yeah.
eating steaks with
Cures
garlic
cancer.
Cures
honest
cancer.
God, like they literally be having steaks morning, noon, and night, and like that's not good for you. Like where's your calcium in a steak? Where's all your fiber in a steak? Like they focus like all the things they're missing out from that diet, and then sure next week they'll be onto something different again. The carnivore one is a big one now. So is a big one that keeps coming back.
Which one?
We're starting to sell apple cider vinegar tablets, gummies. If anyone's interested, we're just going to edit out Niamh's last statement there because that's killing our business plan. But
You'll be making money, that's the thing.
Oh, well, in
but
that case.
that is the scary thing about it. And like obviously there is a lot, and we call them fad diets for a reason. And one element of the food and one element is running. I want to ask, not on as a PT perspective, but just from a personal perspective, and seeing a lot of clients in terms of people doing runs to lose weight, or people who have taken on a marathon to lose weight. Look, expended energy is a fantastic way of losing weight, but do you include strength training in your own personal training? And when you look at the holistic approach to food training, everything involved holistic, how important is strength training to life in general, and how we balance food?
Yeah, no, it's so important. If we think of strength training, like I had a client the other day. She was 49. She came to me for IBS, but I was like, you need to start going. Like, you need to go to the gym twice a week. It doesn't even need to be the gym. You could go at home. You can get a bottle of water and start doing bicep curls. I was like, you need to start strength training. And I was like, this isn't in terms of physique or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's the misconception.
Yeah. Like, you will get a benefit from it because, yes, it will improve your physique. But if we think of longevity and muscle mass, and as well, especially for women, the risk of osteoporosis when they're post-menopause, strength training is so, so important for that. For myself, I used to do strength training like 5 days a week. But again, that was because it was physique focused. Now I do it about once to twice a week, but it's more for injury prevention. Which is so important during running as well. And I think a lot of people, including myself, neglect that during a marathon block, especially their first one. But like the guidelines are everyone needs to be doing some sort of strength training twice a week. And again, people, I think it's for young people, or think, it's just to look a certain way. But I'd be on to my parents. I'd be like, did you go back to your classes now this week? Or like, my dad, I'd be like, will we go to the gym now this weekend and we'll just do something? Like, it's so important for longevity. So it might be a kind of a bit of a younger population listening to this podcast, but even just think of your parents. Like, the less frail they are going into their older age, the less deconditioned they will be, and the fitter and stronger they will be. And you want them to be able to keep up their mobility. You want them to be able to go for a walk, their grandchildren, things like that. So it's not just the younger population that need to be looking at strength training to a certain way. It goes through all age groups.
And I think it's one thing, people see strength training and they imagine Muscle Beach, Arnie. We're all in the gym, we're all lifting weights. Like, my mom, I think, has shares in the community centre. I don't think there's a single class she doesn't do now at this stage, between the dance and the Zoom and the Zumba,
brilliant.
line dance and yoga. We're talking about resistance movement, a little bit of strain on muscles. It doesn't have to be what everyone thinks it is. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. It could literally be like, put something in the toaster. Just do 10 squats while you're waiting for your toast in the morning. Just some sort of pressure on your muscles. Like that. My mom, when I used to be going to the gym, she used to think, you'll get very bulky there now. What are you doing that for?
Yeah, the other misconception.
If only it was that easy.
Very bulky. And then she got diagnosed with osteoporosis. And now she goes to her PT. It's like shared classes, like 2-3 mornings a week. She's great. She's flying it. She's never been so fit. And she's delighted with it. So yeah, it's for like every age group in life.
Niamh, I'm conscious we've taken nearly an hour of your time, but I have to ask, at the risk of disappointing people in certain parts of the country, to go from Western Australia, Busselton, for a 70.3, all the way to Kilkee, hell of the West. How are you training over here after all the triathlon training leading up to an Ironman over there? And then like trying to train over here again? Because Eric will tell you, he's a fair weather athlete. He'll spend 6 hours with turbo trainer before he even think about going outside with a drizzle of rain.
I know, yeah.
How was that transition?
Do you know what? Since I've been back, I moved back from Sydney in February. The weather hasn't been too bad. And
it's been the best summer the last 5 years.
Like,
I'll give you that.
Yeah. And like, the weather is never going to change. Like, we live in Ireland. This is the climate that we're going to expect. You know? But again, like, if you use the weather as an excuse to not do something, you'd never do it. When I see people and they're like, oh, it's a bit raining, I'm like, have you an umbrella? Can't you go for a walk with your umbrella? Do you know, people love using it as an excuse. Yes, safety-wise, sometimes you get blown away out there, and the swimming can be hard in open water. But yeah, I have one of them bloody turbos. I can't wait to throw it out next week when I finish. But the training, no, it's been okay. I will say, I suppose there's a greater population in Sydney doing like endurance events and things like that. And I was training with a friend, so it was great because we were bouncing off each other. We do our long cycles together. But definitely Ireland now versus Ireland in 2019 when I left is very, very different. And people are a lot more proactive, and there's so many more run clubs. And I set up, like, if anyone is listening on cycles, I set up a bit of a cycling group because I just found when I came home, the only people that cycle I knew were my dad and his friends. And no disrespect to them, I don't want to be cycling with like 60-year-old men every Sunday spending my 3 hours with them. So it's basically a group. If anyone wants to join, just message me on Instagram. And it's kind of for younger people that aren't taking cycling too seriously, don't want to join a tri club or Cycling Ireland and be tied down to location. We're all over the place, and it might be, I'm going for a long spin tomorrow in Cork, anyone about. And I've made a few friends through that as well, and there's a few people in Cork that I've linked up with, and in Limerick as well. So you just need to be proactive with the training and just kind of putting yourself out there to find groups. Because I'm thinking, like, so many people are also moving home from Australia. If I've come home with these interests, there has to be other people out there with these interests as well.
And second in your AG as well. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it was fun. No, it was a good day now. I'd actually recommend it. It was a very well-run triathlon. It was my first triathlon in Ireland. The swimming, I'm not good at swimming. I still can't swim. But no, it was enjoyable now. It's enjoyable.
If you got through that, I think you could swim. I think you proved you could swim there if you got through that. Niamh, where can people find out more about NC Nutrition?
Yeah, so my Instagram is probably the best place to go. It's just NC_nutrition, and I kind of post a bit of everything. It's a page that someone who's 20 years old can go on and learn. It's a page that my mom can go on and learn from. It's a mix of kind of clinical to everyday to sports tips. So a bit of a mixed bag. But yeah, always welcome message or questions or anything, or if people are curious. I always say I prefer someone ask me something on it if they're thinking about like just using the hair sample for allergies or something. I prefer someone ask me that than go away and kind of waste time and money doing that. So yeah, they can know it's a reputable, evidence-based source of information. And I suppose I'm practicing what I'm preaching, and I'm trying all the gels and the grams per hour and stuff like that. So it's also put into practice as well by me.
Well, I found out through the Vega bar through you, so if I see how that test goes.
And I have Nutritionist under my name, but please don't message me on Instagram. I will never respond. Niamh, it's been absolutely fantastic. One, getting the insights, your stories, and having fun along the way with food, because that's how it should be when we take on food and sport. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
We will post all of your information in the show notes, so for anyone listening to this episode can find out more about Niamh. We wish everyone who are doing their training, maybe trying caffeine and gels for the first time, it's not too late. You've heard it here, and we wish you all the very best.
listening that are doing Dublin Marathon, like I'm very open to questions. Just message me if you're unsure. It'll take me 2 minutes to reply to you. So yeah, don't be a stranger if anyone has any questions.
And on that note, thank you very much. And that's this week's episode of the Any Given Monday podcast. For myself, Niamh, and Eric, the non-nutritionist. Chicken rice, baby.
Bye everyone. Have a good day.